How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Pritchard Pub. Tonight we got special guest Justin Belmont. What up, dude?
Hey. One of my half of my head's gone over here.
Yeah.
I'm on the moon.
Yep.
I'm jealous.
So for those who don't know,
I'm about to go on the moon so I don't get hit with these dog tails. Hey, shut up.
Yeah, please.
Jesus.
So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are?
I'm Belmont, creator, YouTuber, daddy to be, cat owner, fish owner, comic book creator,
No, wait.
New Yorker, now in Colorado. That's about it. I think that sums me up.
Mountain man.
Conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
Yup. Today we got a list of conspiracies to talk about, but before we get to that, we are going to talk about some work that you do. You make some comics, right? The first one, I believe, the first time you were on, you were promoting Smokes the Fox, which I love as a smoker and a conspiracy theorist myself. But today you got another one, right?
Are you fucking kidding me?
What's that one called?
Shut up.
My first comic book was Smokes the Fox, and it was a double campaign. So it also came with Weaponized Werewolves. You got two comic books, and they both went together. They shared the same storyline, and they both were written by Mike Barron. So this time I now have my own another IP called Pencils Down, and that book just launched about 2 months ago. So it just closed, but we're now in demand on Indiegogo.
Well, how much on Indiegogo? What on Indiegogo? Sorry.
What?
Our dog's loudly chewing on a bone. It's like he never does that, and now we're doing this, and he's just like fucking going at it, dude.
How much on Indiegogo, though, would you say?
No, I said we just closed out on Indiegogo, but now we're in demand.
Got you.
That's awesome. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. I saw it was doing pretty good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I think it like shot up at first, right? And then it kind of stopped for a bit, and then it shot up again, right?
Yeah, it's a roller coaster when you do these campaigns.
Yeah.
The first day when you launch, it's usually your biggest day. And towards the end, it's usually your another big day, and then towards the middle. So then in between, it just like dies off, like falls off a fucking cliff. So you never know what a campaign's gonna do. You know what I mean? Or how anybody's gonna perceive your IP. In your mind, it looks good. You think you put out the best work that you could, and if you believe in yourself, you think you're gonna get like you're gonna make 10 grand or more or whatever. You always have high expectations, and then when it comes down to it, it never goes as well as you ever want it to. But you never know unless you try. You don't know what's gonna happen unless you put it out there.
Hell yeah.
And you got to keep at it too. One thing I realized is when I got down in the dumps with my campaign, when I just I was like, no, I'm gonna show up to that show, and no matter like how like rough it was, I still showed up to the show. I realized it worked out. It kept working out as long as you just show up for it, even when you're not feeling it, and you just keep at it, right? Like you're like, well, it's not working. I gotta just kind of adjust the coordinates and keep pushing, and you learn and you adapt and you get better.
Are you fucking?
And that's how you get, to the other side. I think.
I'm telling my dog, I'm like, come here, and he literally does this shit where he's like, who are you talking to? Like, are you fucking serious?
Talking to me, bitch.
You're not talking to me, are you? Yeah.
Can you guys hear that shit?
No, I can barely hear it.
Okay, good. I was actually really worried it was really loud because it's really loud.
And StreamYard does a good job at cutting out background noise.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I really like seeing all of the campaigns that are doing well. And Man, there's so much good content in the Iron Age. It's really exciting. Well, indie creators in general.
Comics.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, Norwal just got picked up, and he's got his comic book that's coming out on, I believe, Image Comics.
Nice.
And you never know, someone can like your work, and you can just get your own Netflix show or something. Anything can happen in indie comics.
Oh,
You might not fund, you know what I mean? It could go bad. No
Once-
one might not be interested in your book.
yeah. Oh, and then I'm sure most of the people that would watch this know all about Jared Christman and the movie he made.
Mhm.
Did you see that?
Jared Christman?
Yeah, Jared.
Yeah. Do you know Jared Christman?
No.
Oh shit.
He directed last year. He directed Ballad of Missouri Bill, Missouri Breaks. It's like he's the only indie creator that like made a movie that like within our sphere, from what I could tell, unless you know anybody like surrounding the Comicsgate community that made like some sort of movie. The next best thing I could think of is JVP Music with Ruthless. That was kind of like an audio comic.
Who is it? We've had a guest on that works with
Chris Hicks?
Yes.
Chris Hicks.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Chris Hicks does movies.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
What about him? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he's cool. I haven't been on X or really online much at all, so I apologize to everyone for that. But yeah, I'm like, I haven't even thought about Chris Hicks or seen him until that just got brought up, and it's like, oh man, I'm just missing everyone.
Well, it's crazy, just a simple adjustment like not being on like X or Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is. Then you're not like exposed to certain things that you wouldn't normally think of in the long run, but I digress.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna just quickly talk about the Ballad of Missouri Bill. Is the movie called that, or is it Missouri Breaks?
All of that.
Is the band?
It's
right?
all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Missouri Breaks is the band too.
Okay, so you can go to Missouri Breaks on. I listen to it on Pandora personally. I think it should probably be on like Spotify and everything. But the movie is really awesome, and he just won an award too for it. So it's really cool to see people doing the movie stuff too. But it's like I'm just waiting for something Andy writes to get picked up by a movie or show. But I'm like, you gotta start publishing this shit so it can happen.
Like I was saying earlier, you gotta just keep doing. But the reason we bring up movies is like it's a good example. Like once you have a good comic or graphic novel, if you've put a little bit of love and care and respect into it, and you've got like, let's face it, as long as it's like a decent product, the next step up from that is like animation or some sort of movie or action type thing for it, because like what else are you gonna do? Like you can't like just do another comic unless it's the next issue, right?
Andy,
as far as adapting formats,
I just got your message. Yeah, it was supposed to be 9 p.m. I told you 9 p.m. Central.
That's my bad.
Sorry about that.
I just wanted to default mode on the initial time.
So I have many questions for you, Justin. I want to know, do you think that fatherhood, like, because you've been expecting for a while now, do you think that has changed your work yet, or just the nesting phase or anything like that, or do you think it will once the baby comes?
Well, Pencils Down was written over a year ago, so that was long before I knew I was going to have a kid. But Smokes 2 is already completed too, as of right now. But the book is still being worked on, but the script is done. So I don't know in the future, and I don't know, not really. I mean, I never wanted to put out smut or anything, so I won't be putting that out. I mean, but I never planned on putting out like that stuff. I mean, you can always go the cheesecake route and try to put out like that stuff, like people do on Kickstarter. You know what I mean? All boobs and everything, and just like a racy comic book or whatever. But
yeah,
I don't want to be known for like big boobs, number one or whatever. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
Well, I just kind of meant because like Andy's book that he's about to he's editing right now, is the protagonist is pregnant, and so we were going through all of that, having kids and stuff, so that definitely inspired his writing. So I was just curious if you had any writing you were doing that kind of changed because of the, father coming out in you.
No, but I might do a children's book, maybe.
That'd be awesome.
I have some ideas floating around, but
Awesome.
I won't just do children's book. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm still going to make Smokes the Fox 2 and probably 3 or whatever. You know what I mean? I guess things will change. When I have a kid. My I probably won't smoke as pot anymore. Or at least,
Yes, you
not
will.
inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, the old man's gonna sneak out back.
Yeah, I'll probably have to keep some somewhere on the side of the building or something, and then run out there and get a hit or something if I really need it.
Where'd Dad go? He's meditating.
Yeah.
He's meditating.
No, medicating.
Medicating.
Yeah, this
I gotta
is
go
my
get some
medicine.
milk,
Yeah.
Take a trip.
Yeah, just come back from the store.
Yeah. He went to go get some milk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like what on The Office where Ryan he says his baby mama went to go get like a vape battery and never came back.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. Did you ever watch The Office?
No.
Oh shit, we've seen that many times all the way through. It gets better every time, and you notice more shit.
It doesn't appeal to me. I don't know. It's one of those shows that I don't watch.
Yeah.
I never watched the other one with
there's a lot of people
Two
like
and a
that.
Half Men. I never watched that.
Oh yeah, that one.
I've never seen a full episode of Friends.
Fucking horrible
You're
show.
fine.
You know what I mean?
You didn't miss anything.
There's stuff I just don't watch.
If you're gonna pick around that era,
dude,
you're better off with like Seinfeld, I think.
Yeah, I've seen every episode of Seinfeld.
Come here.
But I didn't like the other one. What is that one that he had later on?
Curb Your Enthusiasm, is that the one?
I didn't like
it. Yeah.
No, I didn't know about that.
It's kind of weird. I don't know. It's different.
I know it was like acquired, more niche, a little more indie as well.
It was right. I didn't hate it, but it's not like something I wanted to watch every episode or anything like that.
I knew somebody who loved it. Middle-aged. My friend's dad freaking loved it, man. It was back before like all the mainstream platforms we have now today, and he had every episode downloaded on his Mac. You know.
Come on.
So to have it all on your Mac at the time when like it was cool to have like a movie on your iPod, that's saying something. He loved it. So
you're so helpless, dude.
I don't know. I never owned a Mac.
He was an artist.
Up.
Yeah. So he had like he's the reason why I knew like as soon as I saw like tablets in the wild, artist tablets, I was like, I know exactly what that's for because I've like literally seen him use it before, and he had the whole setup, like 2 screens, like.
Good boy.
And this is when I was like a kid, like early 2000s, I want to say. So seeing that was pretty cool. He'd do paintings of his family, and he had them all over the house. It was awesome. Cool stuff. Learned a lot from him. But back to your stuff. Before we get carried away in like other conversations, tell us more about Pencils Down. How it like correlates, where the idea came from. I know I saw Hojo in the chat. He's part of the team, I believe.
Oh, hell yeah.
I came up with the origin. Basically, do you remember Pencils Down time period around COVID, where the people in DC and Marvel, the artists were told to put their pencils down, stop working on your projects. And people in the indie sphere were thinking that they were going to go under, like gut their comic book portion of the company, and maybe just do movies and merchandising, clothing, and stuff like that, and stop making comic books.
Right.
The comic book shops weren't open because of all the rules. They weren't essential businesses. I mean, there are still shops that will give you like, I guess, curbside like pickup or something like that,
which is cool.
You really couldn't go inside. So they were told to put their pencils down. So I kind of was thinking about that time period, and I was thinking, how can I make a comic book or a character around that?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and then I was just sketching in a notebook. I usually just sketch with a pen, inside one of those lined notebooks, just like the ones you get for $1 at the store.
Yeah.
And I was just sketching, and I drew a pencil with all these jacked arms kind of floating there, and I put the 2 on his chest like Superman, and
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
drew a sharpener gun, and I was just looking at it. I thought it was funny, and I threw it in my DM group, one of the DM groups I'm in, and a couple guys laughed, and then I asked Eric Hodson, who was in that group, if he would take my chicken scratch, and make and rework it. So he gave me
Right.
this really cool sketch, and that pose was actually used in the cover he did for me. I liked it so much that I had him take the rough that he originally did and finish it out. And he draws digitally too, so he uses a tablet or whatever. Everybody, I mean, digital has it's great for everything except you don't get original art.
Right.
And I guess
Don't get me wrong. He had his whole studio with all of his paints, like canvas and all the. Yeah, he was very traditional. That's why he was geeking out about Apple so much, because he's like, oh, I can do this all like this now. This is cool. He was like that generation. He was my friend's dad, so he's like, he thought it was just cool. It's not like today where it's like anybody can go type a prompt in somewhere or whatever. It passes as it, or even 3D assets, and there's like tiers of it now, like what level is like considered true. And it's like there's a certain line, I'm sure, that you pass where it's like no longer true art, but now it's traditional art. And that traditional line, I think, has moved,
Babe,
in my opinion.
Somebody just messaged me about booking a full reading, so let me know. I think they have Pritchard Pub for the last time they paid.
Mm-hmm.
So let me know if you get $30 in your Cash App.
Okay. All right. Sidebar, yeah. So it takes place during like the age of masks.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of that time period, and then I wanted them. I came up with that chicken scratch, and then Eric Hodson reworked the sketch, and then I thought of an origin story, and the origin story goes that there's a lazy artist. He works for the big 2, and then he gets an email one day, and it says, stop working, put your pencils down. And he gets really upset because he just lost his job, and that was his only income, and he's kind of struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, eating cat food, just barely getting by. And then I handed that story off to Hojo, and he made a script out of it, and it's just pure satire, fun, like comics used to be.
Oh yeah, there was a time when satire ruled. I can't point to it directly because I'm not like a comic historian, but there definitely was a time.
Yeah, so Hojo did this story that was funny. So I didn't put any of those pages, the dialogue, on the campaign because it gives too much. You just have to take my word that it's funny.
Yeah. Well, funny. It's like truth in the eye of the beholder, or beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah, that true. And I haven't got it lettered yet, so
right.
Can't really do that. I was kind of in a rush because I wanted to put the comic book out before Christmas, so in October. I knew I was going to run it for 60 days, and I didn't want to get too close to Christmas, even though it ended up that way. So I did launch it a little bit later than I wanted to, but it did pretty well. I got a lot of help. I got a lot of people that were promoting and pushing me, and sometimes it's just getting your book in front of the people. You know what I mean? It's not even your book. Is anything wrong with it? It's just getting the attention of bigger channels, bigger personalities, and just getting the word of mouth out there. You got to like build a momentum. Before I even put out my first comic book, I was in the chats, hailing people, just watching shows, watching what other people were doing, watching their campaigns, see how they set up their campaigns, what worked, what didn't work. And I kind of just studied the whole scene. And then at one point, someone put out like a guidebook, and it said basically you don't want to make your funding goal more than like, I don't know, 10K would be like the absolute max. But if it's your first book, you want to maybe keep it at like 5K, to
Oh
maybe
yeah,
7,500 or something like that. Depends how big the book is. Every project's different. But sometimes people, go overboard, and I don't know. Sometimes it might be better to start off with a shorter book because it won't be a bigger financial risk. You know what I mean?
right.
Or whatever. Or
Show them.
you gotta promote your book and have
Share
a
it
sign
with
up.
me.
Yeah, but I can't see.
I'll pull it up if you share it with me on Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Oh, I mean, you gotta promote your book before you put out your book. So I was in the community, in the chats, hailing people, and then like a year later, then I thought about putting my own book out after some people knew me and stuff like that. And then I also had channels to get on when I had my book. I had a place to promote because these guys know me. And then if I reach out to them and say, hey, I'm putting out a book now. And then, they're more likely to have you on. If you support them, they support you back.
Right. And that's a thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Is there's this whole precursor stage.
Do you know you can pin conversations?
Oh, that's cool.
So you can pin me to the top.
I'll do that. Anyway, so there's this whole precursor stage before a campaign that people don't talk about where, I don't know, it could be as long as you want it to be. It could be the year leading up to it or a month leading up to it. A week is cutting it close. You better have some potent resources if you're doing the week leading up to it. But like a month, I'd say, is pretty good. If like the month leading up to your campaign, you're doing like what you're saying, like popping into the chats. But not only that, you're also promoting like, hey, I have this upcoming campaign. So like it depends on the degree you want to go on. If you want to start popping on people's shows, then I don't know if I would burn the wick, so to speak, that early. But you could, in theory, casually pop onto some people's shows and just mention you have this campaign coming up. And on your social medias, maybe you make a promotional poster and talk about it every now and then. Just like literally leading up to it before you even do anything. It's like it's already live before it's live. You know what I mean? And that's a potent thing because then it's already in people's mind and some people are already won over and you can kind of come out of the gate with momentum and you're kind of skipping past the acceleration phase, so to speak.
So were you on the moon on purpose because we have moons in our background, or was that just a coincidence?
I've never seen your moons in the background, so
that's perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like we need to switch spots because
I assumed you'd be over here.
Oh, whatever.
I'm having like a Dr. Manhattan moment where I want to be on the moon by myself.
It's the next comic.
You look fucking cold on the moon, dude. I'm not
Away
gonna lie.
People,
The moon seems legit though, not gonna lie also. So I got this gift from my wife just a few seconds ago here. She sent it to me. I want to know what you guys think. I want you guys to title. What's the name of this album?
It's a gift.
What's the name of this album?
I guess.
Chat, name this album.
Exploding Love.
Exploding Love. I like Xeno something.
Something.
Someone's crotch is on fire.
Yeah.
Because of the sun. Fire crotch.
That's a good title too.
Just AI.
I don't know. She just started laughing and showed me, and I was like, "Let's share it. Let's share it."
I didn't like the new aliens or whatever the hell it was, Romulus or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I didn't check out Romulus. It got like at least mixed reviews, right?
Oh, there's some people that said it was the best one.
Yep.
I can barely watch it.
Some people are like, it's the best thing ever. Others are like, I hated it, right? Yeah.
It was like a teeny popper version of Aliens. Like a Time Life version. Or no.
Time Life, yeah.
Lifetime, I mean, not.
Well, Time Life kind of works too. Lifetime, though, for sure.
It was just, I don't know. You got to watch it for yourself. It reminded me of like a Netflix original movie or something like that. Not like a. Yeah, there's Pencils Down. His name
Wait,
is not
Romulus.
Pencils
Hold on,
Down.
real quick. You
What?
said Romulus is was like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, I mean the acting was kind of bad for me.
Oh
The
yeah,
dialogue I think was really. I couldn't watch it. I only watched a few minutes of it because I couldn't watch it any longer. My wife finished it out, but I did not watch it. I said I cannot
understandable.
watch this, and I love aliens. You know what I mean? I just couldn't watch it.
Yeah, I love aliens too.
It was nothing like the original movies. Not even the same world.
Interesting. Interesting. I might check it out. There's a few things I got to check out. It's a maybe on most of them. I've been really trying to just like edit and keep up with like stuff like the Pritchard Pub and all that and Iron Seas and everything. But for those listening, don't forget to like and subscribe. Support Belmont's projects here and your local indie. If not Belmont, some sort of indie. But go indie if you're looking for a gift or anything for anybody, or if you just like comics or into reading. Sick of the stuff on TV. We've all kind of seen or heard of Rings of Power. What an abortion! I heard they literally made Sauron like actually like pull the trigger on like man like gayness with Glorfindel. I think is somebody who the other dude who made the ring. I forgot the elf's name, but like apparently that's the reason is like they were lovers. So of course they were
Oh,
lovers. Yeah. And like by the end of the second season, I also heard like basically everybody has hooked up with somebody. Like almost all the characters have like their person or whatever. And it's like I don't know. I remember when talking about stories. I don't know if you remember this time, but like people almost expected the love angle. Like, where's the romance, right? At, that was at one point. I want to say that was probably like a '90s thing, where they're like, "Where's the romance?" But like to have it like on that level, where literally every single character, it kind of like just like hooks up with somebody by the end of it. In the amount of like 1 or 2 seasons is just kind of crazy to me. It's almost like that's cranked up to the extreme. Is there a romance plot in Pencils Down?
no, there is not.
Are you sure?
Like I said, the pencil what happens is his pencil comes alive. He tries to get revenge on his employer, the Big Two, because he gets fired from his job.
Mhm.
And what happens is he tries to summon a demon, but during the ritual, his number 2 pencil rolls off the drafting table and lands on the Ouija board. And
Oh.
the pencil manifests. It comes alive. And it's angry because it's been drawing woke shit.
Oh man.
And
That's awesome.
so that's how it begins. And then Hojo took it from there, and he made this funny 12-page story.
Damn it.
And I don't know, you guys are gonna laugh. It's pure satire, fun, and we're also gonna feature fan art from various artists. I'm gonna launch that very soon. I gotta launch it this month. I'm not sure exactly what day, but I'm gonna launch the art contest. I'm gonna give people plenty of time to submit, and then I'll take the best pieces and I'll put them in the book. I might have a black and white section for line art, and then also have color pieces in there. So I'm getting a mixture of both. I'm not sure what else I'm going to get yet because I haven't even started the contest, and I already got a few pieces coming in.
I highly recommend you get on the drawn and quartered.
I already did that.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
I did a couple of shows. I was on Don Draws.
Yeah.
And Omer did a piece for me now. Omer Glitch. He's now got a show where he's drawn, where they draw, stuff, and just have a bunch of guys on that are working on different things. But
Yeah.
Don, usually they pick a character and they draw that character throughout the night.
Yep.
when I was on Drawn and Quartered, they could have picked like any of the characters. They could have picked number 2, right there with the sharpener gun, or
Just gonna let you know.
there's a lot of cameos and stuff like that. We got Stab Bastion from the Little Mermaid.
Oh, dude, cameos. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, little small Easter eggs and stuff like that. Fun stuff you're gonna find in the background. We got Ricada's cocaine somewhere, and you have to find it. Just making fun of everything, everyone. I don't know. I enjoyed the book. I thought Hojo did a great job. If everything goes well, we'll give him a full issue. Give him a first. This is kind of the 0 issue, the origin story, and I want to continue on with it and keep going. Hey, Edwin.
Hell yeah. Let's check out this video you got here.
All right.
Hell yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna make a full trailer, but we just never got a chance to do it. I was running out of time, and I wanted to put it out this year before it got too close to Christmas. But it went pretty well. We got 4 covers to pick from. One of the covers is not completed yet. That's Dillard's cover. Dillard is working on the final 3 pages of the book. One is penciled. The other 2, the thumbnails are done. And I'm expecting him to finish that 1 page probably in the next 2 or 3 days. And then he'll work on the next 2, and then we'll get working on the cover. And then I'm going to be launching this campaign over on Fund My Comic later on this month.
Heck yeah, shout outs to Fund My Comic. I noticed you got quite a few perks here too. That's
Good Lord.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Taylor running away with my shit.
We had the cover stars here, which was if you pay $200, you get a copy of all the covers, and then you would get, yourself on the cover as a cameo.
That's fucking awesome. What a great idea.
People have done it before. Not usually on the cover. It's usually for the interiors. Sometimes you could even get killed. Like your character will be on more than 1 page, and then you'll get killed in the comic book or whatever. Sometimes you might even be a character that might be around for a couple issues or something like that. But in this case, you're just going to be a background person, a cameo on the cover. And that's sold out right away. I was kind of surprised. I kept it affordable. I've seen as high as $1,000 to get put into a comic book. But I didn't, I wanted it to be affordable.
Yeah. Well, that still is a cool idea. I didn't know people did that, but I don't have a lot of experience looking at them. But
as long as your artist can draw people realistically, not every artist can do that. If they're good at likeness, if your artist can do that, then I recommend it. It's a good way to bring in money, but it also kind of slows down your production because then you have to wait for people to give you references and stuff like that. So I decided to make it the cover, and then make the cover a surprise. So people that back the Dillard cover don't even know what it looks like yet, because we haven't started it yet.
That's really clever to group those 2 things. Like, okay, which cover is gonna take the longest or whatever. And you basically grouping the time frames together. That's clever. It's really respectful of people's time
He
too.
literally just fucking sat on Booba's face.
Yeah, so I'm going full steam ahead with all the pages, and it's not slowing me down. We'll do the cover last, I guess, since
Yeah.
there's only 2 more pages after this next one that he's working on, and then we'll launch on Fun My Comic towards the end of January.
Mhm.
Then I also had the Belmont Press Vault, which was you can back all the pencils down covers, and you would also get Smokes the Fox, both covers, and you would also get Weaponized Werewolf. Basically, all my comics that I put out. Yeah, that sold out. But this is the Vault 2. The Vault 2 is different than the first Vault.
Oh.
The Vault 2 features the Virgin covers, which are actually the rarest comic books that I made. They're the same as the regular comics, except they don't have the text on the cover. So there's no Smokes the Fox logo or Weaponized Werewolf logo.
Right.
But the interiors are exactly the same. I mean, you can read them. But I only made about 35 copies of each one. So
Right.
for Smokes, both covers, and for Weaponized Werewolf. So you get one of those each. And you also get my rare sketch covers. For Smokes and Weaponized Werewolf, I'd made... my printer is able to make pretty good sketch covers with like the fancy paper, not that shit, paper that they used to use.
Yeah. Number 3 stock, motherfucker.
I made this kind of affordable, this project. $8 for digital. If you just want, the standard book, but you also get the line art edition with that $8. You get 2 PDFs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have you can get the main cover for $15. And this time around, I'm offering shipping to international. Not every country, but the main countries that buy comics these days.
Mm-hmm.
UK, Australia, Canada.
What about
Mexico.
like Japan and?
No,
Mexico,
I mean,
cool.
if someone reaches out to me, I don't want to sit there and put all these different countries in. But if someone reaches out to me, I'll look it up, and some guy from Finland hit me up, and I didn't have that option. You know what I mean? I didn't think somebody from Finland. I got Italy, Germany. I asked other creators what countries back, and I got feedback. And there's a lot of covers to choose from. This is like the '90s cover, Corey Barton.
It very much looks 90s. It's kind of awesome.
He was born in the wrong time period, man. He's a young kid.
The Ouija board.
Sick.
So that's the origin story. You're looking at how he manifests. He was on the board, he's doing a seance or whatever, and
fight me.
Yeah,
he's a little
like,
bitch.
Betcha I will.
He makes threats at other artists, and then doesn't back it up, and then calls the security on them instead of fighting them. Yeah, these are cancel pigs, and they just
cancel
got
pigs.
Wrecked. Yeah, they just got wrecked by Dixon Sharp, number 2. Check out his face. He looks like Powdered Toast Man or something like that from Ren and Stimpy.
Oh my fucking god, yes.
It's pretty great.
I can't, dude, like our parents let us watch that shit when we were little kids, man. And then I watch it and I'm like, holy fuck.
Ren and Stimpy, man. Uh-oh, the frogs.
Well, we used to watch Beavis and Butthead when we were little kids too.
Oh no. Here he comes.
Maybe I'm just an exception, but my dad didn't give a shit.
It's like
I watched some Ren and Stimpy.
Through the wall. That's what
our parents like signed a thing at the video store so we could rent rated R movies when we were like fucking 8,
Yeah, my dad would give me a note to get cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like 10 years old, and I'd be like, Mr. Belmont is a pack of Marlboro menthols. Please allow my son to pick them up for me. Thank you.
Please? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the S that everybody drew when they were kids. There's a lot of, if you look behind them, you see the S? Everybody
yeah.
used to draw. We put that on there.
Why
That's
did
Sinatra with a
everyone
man
used to
bun.
fucking do that?
Yeah, that's a
I still
mystery.
can't draw that.
But everyone all over the world did that. Well, it's easy. You start with 3 lines and then 3 lines.
And then you just connect them all.
Yep, 3
Yeah,
lines and then 3 lines right below. But yeah, why is that everyone like all fucking over just did that? We didn't. That was before the internet and shit too. How did everyone know how to do that? Or
If you zoom
to
in on
do
that
that?
one again, go back. You see that there's a Nirvana shirt, like a Nirvana
I remember.
sign. Remember those
Oh,
Nirvana
yeah.
shirts?
I remember
right
being
there.
extremely young and drawing a swastika, and my sister was like, "Ah, that's bad," and then like got my dad and like Christy taught me. That's my sister. She like taught me about what it was, and I just like did it as a kid. It's not like I had ever seen it, or you know what I mean.
Kind of like drawing the S. It just like
Yeah, you just like draw shit. I don't know. I was just doodling, and my sister, yeah, you can't draw that.
which is funny because they bastardized that, but I digress.
That's like one of my earliest memories too.
Yeah,
Which is hilarious because I was old enough to like doodle and stuff, you know.
that's it. Interesting. It's funny.
Mhm.
Grabs the wokey by the leg. Oh,
The wokey.
does anybody drink any
Jesus,
liberal
that
tears?
face.
Are there any?
There's the Social Justice League that he goes up against
Oh my god.
later on.
the social justice league,
Yes.
as opposed to the regular Justice
Time
League.
to get the lead out. Oh yeah, the fucking raven crow thing, whatever.
That's Shadowhawk.
Hell
Heck yeah.
yeah.
I like the perspective of this one.
I like the eye popping.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of that fucking teacher from Daria.
This also reminds me of DBZ a little bit.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The teacher from Daria?
I remember Daria, but I don't remember her teacher.
The teacher, and he's like, and he's like about to fucking lose his shit all the time. And his
those are
eyes
the
like
Virgin
fucking
covers.
twitching and popping out.
Okay, so like wordless or like titleless.
Yeah, just no credits on there, but the inside's the same. And
These
those
are
are
cool.
really rare, like 35 of each. So I made about 100 altogether for all 3 of those.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they look real clean and nice. Like imagine this in trading card form, like cards that are like this, for example, or like t-shirts that are like this. They all just are perceived as nicer. I mean, t-shirts have a reason because it's a little harder to print them in full like that.
Okay, I sent you a picture to pull up.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'll pull it up. Let me get a nice thing to center on here. Demon in the Bong. Got to center on that. Got to highlight. Shout-outs to the Demon in the Bong. Which reminds me, it's almost conspiracy time, isn't it?
Is it?
It almost
Conspiracy
is.
hour?
It almost is, I think. Depending on when. Okay.
So his eyes are always like really wide, but then one pops out like that because he's always like fucking on one. That's his name is
Let me show this
Mr. DiMartino.
This guy.
Anthony DiMartino. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
I barely remember Daria. Oh, okay.
Fucking guy. That's what it reminded me. I'm just like, ah. I love it though. This is very awesome artwork.
Agreed. I'm gonna. And that was the eye-popping image that she was talking about.
That was Marcus that drew that.
Demon.
Oh, this one right here. This one is drawn by Lee Oakes.
Right.
This is the tribute cover to Demon in a Bottle
Yeah.
by Bob Layton.
And that's Iron Man, right?
Yeah, Bob Layton's a friend of mine. I've met him many times over the years. And this is kind of like a tribute to him. And this is my favorite cover that he ever did. And he actually inked Smokes the Fox 1, the cover.
Sick.
The main cover. And so I asked him, he found out that I was getting married, and I asked him, would you do something for my comic?
Oh.
And he's like, I'll do something small. And I couldn't, I didn't really know what to do, so I had him ink cover. I thought that was small. He didn't really define what small was. So,
did he view that as small? Me personally,
I guess
if like
he did it. I mean, I figure
that's cool.
he inked the cover, but he also added some details and changed a couple things slightly, enhanced the stuff a little bit here and there, added a little bit more detail. So it was just a little bit more than inking.
Right.
And his personal touch.
And just what I learned in the past year.
Are like at the very top.
Wow. And just what I learned in the past year about like coloring and stuff from like my own comics and dabbling a little bit, trying to learn. Inking is not only one of the higher I mean, like, yeah, you can be extremely skilled in coloring, and that's where you can really get the image to pop, right? But initially, on like the lower end of things, I'd say like the lines are extremely important and a little trickier to like learn right off the bat, because I can kind of like BS my way through coloring a little bit, and like, oh, okay, it's a little darker here. You think about the lighting, stuff like that. Pick colors, it's fine. You can get by, right? But like, you can't really BS anatomically correct placement of like figures and stuff like that, with like the lines and stuff. So the fact that he inked it, and like just like a lot of the details, even if you're translating sketches over, that's pretty, that was nice of him, is what I'll say. And personally, just from my perspective, because I think it's a little bit of a big deal. The inking, it's a pivotal part, I think. Because like, yeah, any trick I can think of, it doesn't beat going through by hand and actually having the skill to draw the lines.
Yeah, my first two books were traditionally drawn and traditionally inked. There's original art, but this book is all done digitally, except for the Dillard cover. The final piece we're going to do, that's going to be traditional art, and I'm going to own the cover.
Oh, amazing.
Well, also the fan art, some of it will be traditional, depending on what artist. Marcus, the one that did that one with the eye popping out, that's traditional art.
Of course, yes. Oh, nice, having the what it's gonna look like when it shows up. I might add something like
Yeah,
that
that's
to mine.
Hojo's arm, actually.
Oh, damn! Look at this. Shout out to Hojo's arm,
Yeah, he's
right
a
there.
arm model,
Yep,
hand
he's
model.
he's now an arm model. Oh, and a foot model.
Yeah, that's when he got Smokes the Fox in the mail. He took a picture, and I used this photo on my other campaign, so I reused it again. I'm lazy.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Pencils down. Hold on, I gotta get a nice shout outs to the one my wife liked. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah, that's his first time he's going to be published. I guess he self-published himself, like printed out his own comic books in the '90s. But this is the first time like anybody else has published them, besides himself, or printing out his own stuff. So he's excited for that. So I'm going to feature as many these artists as I can, as long as the piece looks good, and I if I'm digging it, I'll put it in the book, and if I get more art, maybe I'll even put more pieces of art and make the book bigger than originally. It's supposed to be 24-page book, but I can always make it a couple page, like 4 pages bigger or something like that.
Oh yeah,
If it comes down to it.
all the old school comics kind of had like, they had their like fluff in there. You'd have not just advertisements, but you'd sometimes have little features of like a different comic that's coming out or whatever back in the day. So I really want to include like all of the fan art for the contest into the graphic novels from the campaign, at least, because before I like get this as like a set and forget type project, I'd really like the campaign versions to be very special, like one of a kind. I'll probably do a separate cover for anything outside of that kind of thing. But yeah, you heard it here. I'd like to include all of that, is what I'm saying. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, what's wrong with just like a page of art? It increases the page count, which, like, sure, it only costs more on your end as long as it doesn't, break the whole project, which I doubt it would, just adding a few pages of like fan art, for example.
Well, that's what I did for Weaponized Werewolf. It was a 12-page story, and then I put artwork in it, and I made it a 24-page book. So I'm kind of following that same formula.
Yeah.
And then I can always add to it. This is a fun project in between projects, because I was working on Spokes 2, but the production is moving slower than expected.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed something to do, and this just happened. You know what I mean? I wasn't even planning on putting out a comic book, another one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it just happened when I was sketching one day, and it's like a happy accident.
And that's how a lot of ideas start, man. Like my novel that my wife mentioned earlier started with just like I saw a scene in my mind. It's just like, imagine like a colonial era ship, Age of Exploration, maybe, with like cannons firing at like a pyramid on an island kind of thing. And like it's way different than that now, but that's how it started, like almost like a comic book idea. Like that's like the opening establishing shot or something, is just like this is happening or whatever. But like, yeah, for those listening that are like writers, you mentioned you like page count and stuff, and I think you mentioned like story length or something earlier too. Uh, my 8 to 10,000 word short stories turn into about graphic novel length. Like my current Saga of Sunsets is going to be, over 70 pages, for example. So people can kind of gauge it from there. But the reason I bring that up is like a lot of writers can easily translate short stories into comics. So even if they just need to like wet their chops, so to speak, they could pump out like a half dozen short stories. And if one of them is really like unique or something, you know what I'm saying? You can kind of like form, you can keep your writing chops hot, and maybe get a good comic out of it at the same time if you're already the short story type. So I would highly recommend getting into comics for people like that. It's a little expensive, but if you do it properly and you really plan it out and all that, I think there's a proper way to do it. But yeah, everybody listening back, pencils down. Link is pinned in the chat. I think we had a nice little list going here, didn't we, Belmont?
Yeah, some of the stuff I didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
Right,
So-
right. And you have the Cannabis and Conspiracy show, right?
Yeah, I know. We've done a wide range of topics. Area 51. What else do we do? Time travels, glitch in the Matrix,
Right.
Dogman,
Yeah, as usual.
Kind of like
Roswell.
investigative, right? It's a little investigative.
Well, I usually we play small clips that I find on YouTube, and then we also just talk about it, and we don't really tell somebody what to think. We just present, and then you can make up your own mind, if you believe it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I do believe in, some of it I don't. We did an episode on the Denver airport because I'm out here.
Oh, that's so sick.
But we got buried, in the search on YouTube, and it was our least viewed episode. I think we had like 10 or 11 views, and then they actually,
What the fuck?
took it down. They didn't say why, and then I didn't know for months. They never gave me like an email telling me that they took it down, so I didn't know it was down. And then one day I was going through my stuff, and I was like, "How's this only got 10 views?" You know what I mean? Then I looked, and then they weren't even wasn't even active. So they said something about a copyright or something like that.
Oh,
but it was
what?
up for like 2 months or 3 months before that, and there was no problem. Then all of a sudden there's a copyright problem. I don't know. It's just certain subjects they bury.
Yeah.
And then if you search for them on YouTube, usually debunked videos will come up to tell you that it's fake. If you ever notice that, you'll look up something.
We get tags on our podcast sometimes, right under here where I'm pointing. It should be. It'll say something like, "Oh, the reptilian hypothesis. Here's the Wikipedia link, so you know the truth, just in case they're saying false information." Like one of those tags will just auto-generate on our videos.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the put a community note underneath your fucking underneath.
But it's not a community. It's not even a community note though. It's just like a straight up link to a Wikipedia page on behalf of YouTube. So it's like, okay, thanks for that. I suppose I will give it credit where it's like people can learn more about these subjects or like know how to spell it properly and stuff when they do that. They end up promoting it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I had one video that did really well out of all the episodes we did. It was Life on Mars. And I think that it did well because it's similar to the title that Joe Rogan did. He did an episode on his podcast about Mars. Mars interests me. It's always weird to see that shit. They always find those oddities, you know what I mean? And structures. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like an aftermath of some kind of weapon was used and destroyed the whole planet, and then it's like kind of like
Yeah.
a junkyard
Yeah.
uh, with parts buried in the sand or whatever. And sometimes those parts are like poking out or whatever, and you look at them and they got right angles and stuff. They're just not natural, and you know there's something up with Mars. But
Yep.
you know,
Well,
Oh fuck yeah.
some people think that we weren't even on Mars ever, and that all the images are just places on Earth that they just kind of tinted red, which NASA has been shown to do a little bit.
Yeah, and when that guy did the remote viewing session for Mars a million years ago,
Well,
or a million years BC.
there's a lot of crazy stuff around Mars, is what I'll say. And like what you were saying, it looks like the planet was destroyed. Like, yeah, like, and part of that is like my favorite aspect of that is like when you observe it, you can even see this from images. The scar that goes across the surface of Mars, which is way crazier than our Grand Canyon here, or it's like a super Mariana Trench is what it is on Mars, basically. And when you look at the shape of it, it almost looks like the same pattern that like electricity makes, but you could also make the argument that that's also the same pattern that like water makes, like rivers and like the flow of water and a lot of things. Like other people might argue wind, but either way, it's kind of curious that at first glance, it's almost like if you like, you know, like when lightning strikes something, there's a pattern that the lightning disperses in, you know, and it looks like roots, it looks like a river system, it looks like all countless different things, but it's like this pattern that emerges. I forgot what it's called. It's a something pattern, but that's interesting because some people are like, oh, it was like a weapon, you know, and you could still get like that scar carved out of Mars too, if you go the theory of their moon collided, the moon collided with Mars or whatever.
Can you do me a favor?
well, if you talk to my brother, you know, there are no other planets.
Say that again.
My brother's a flat earther. He believes that there is no other planets, that every image that you see is fake, and that even if you can view it with a telescope, it's not really there, or not a planet. It's just like a light or something. It's not a place you can go to. I'm trying to understand what he's talking about, but I don't really get it. I'm not buying the whole flat Earth. You know, he claims that the sun is closer than they say it is.
Well, because it has to be it has to be within the dome. Same with the moon. Okay, so
Babe, I need your wallet.
Yeah, 1 second. I have thoughts on that though, because like I like to dig through conspiracies on like TikTok, and it absolutely just loves to throw flat Earth stuff at you when you do that. And I don't know why, but a lot of people are really confused about that these days. But we can touch lightly on that, I think.
Well, he believes there's an ice wall around it.
Yeah.
And you can get to the edge of the Earth, and there's this big wall. And I guess if you climb that wall or something, there's
You just fucking kicked me twice. The fuck?
What's going on here?
I don't fucking know. I just got kneed in the back twice. Oh, continue though.
I don't know. I was talking to my brother. It was my birthday the other day, and my brother lives in Belize, and I haven't talked to him in a long time, or like months. And you know, he believes in a lot of these conspiracy theories. He was talking to me about Dogman as though like I didn't know anything about it. You know, Dogman's been around for like over 30 years. I've known about it. You know, and he just like learned about it like it was like yesterday or something. And he was like, "You got to watch about the Dogman." I was like, "I already did an episode on that." But you know, it's a creature that's in Michigan, in the Wisconsin area, stuff like that. Heavy forest, and he's not like a he's not like a Bigfoot. He's got like a werewolf face,
a little bit,
like a doggish werewolf looking face.
So,
and you know, you're not going to confuse that. Did you ever see that picture from that Texas zoo? A few years ago, there was security footage. The camera caught like this werewolf fox looking thing. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
He was like lurking around the zoo. They were thinking that maybe he was trying to eat one of the animals, that were there.
It would be.
You know, it's not a video. It's just a frame. I guess the security cameras like take random pictures and go back and forth and just take photographs, and it caught this creature. It's pretty cool if you haven't seen it.
Dang.
It's got like the legs, like the werewolf legs. You know how they go back like a dog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really scientific term for that I don't have the
I don't know the
fortitude
name
to
of it.
memorize.
But
yeah,
it was an interesting photo, and it happened like at the Amarillo Zoo or something like that.
those I love when it's like CC footage and stuff like that, like security guards. It makes it a little bit more credible in the ways that it can. As far as like the flat earthers go, I don't personally ascribe to that, but it's really interesting how like all the platforms really try to push it. It's really fascinating, and some of the times they can make some like interesting claims, but it ends up just being fantasy fuel for me more than anything. Like one of the theories is like the 4-quadrant theory or something, and it's like just imagine a giant flat Earth map like Skyrim or something, just a huge map, and essentially our known world is just one section of the map that's being thawed out by the sun where it currently is, and it goes around in circles constantly like you would expect, but it's also slowly moving across this greater map, right? And just the very virtue of the sun moving thaws out all the other frozen places and creates an ice wall and stuff like that. And yeah, that stuff sounds pretty crazy and compelling in a fantasy setting. And I mean, who knows about reality? The moon is really weird. The fact that you're on the moon is fitting because it's like we actually still don't know the origin of the moon, and there's no other moon like it, at least in our solar system. We have no way of knowing other systems, but yeah, like it's so close in relation to its size. It affects everything on Earth so perfectly. Like, yeah, it goes on and on. It's like hollow. Like, there's so many weird things about it. That it's just like, why is it there?
Dude,
And we need it.
I have a theory that the Ark of the Covenant is on the fucking moon.
I don't know. It's more likely to be on Oak Island than the moon.
Oak Island?
Have you heard the theory that there's multiple Arks of the Covenant?
Oak Island. I need to hear about this. Like the Curse of Oak Island. Oak Island.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Templars
Oak Island.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Templars, right?
Templars, and they put up this elaborate trap in this homemade triangle swamp and moved like 1,000-pound boulders and made a cross and just did this crazy shit on the island. I don't think it was done just for fun. You know what I mean? There's something it's protecting, and it's something very valuable. And it might not even be gold, and it might be,
secrets.
Something very important. Tablets or whatever. It could be anything. It could be a mixture of everything. It could be gold in there too. I mean, you figure they'd find it by now. I mean, they've been poking holes and digging every 20 seasons since those guys had it, at least 25 seasons or something. And they always say they're getting closer, but it seems like they never, get anywhere. I mean, shouldn't they be able to use like ground radar or whatever to see if there's any, tunnels underneath the ground or whatever, chambers, like they did for Egypt. You know what I mean? The hidden chambers and stuff like that. But they're still discovering shit in Egypt. But
have you heard about the lidar? The ground penetrating radar, but then also like the lidar that you can fly over areas like jungles, and essentially the computer will strip away all the trees on a digital map, so you can literally just see the landscape. And when you do that, there's just like, we know enough about like our own archaeology where we can see just a shape in the landscape and be like pyramid, burial mound, you know what I mean? Oh, and then look at this road, that we didn't know was there before. Did you know that there's miles and miles of like a crazy road that runs through like the Amazon that like the Mayans and the Aztecs probably used, or like it was there when they showed up or something? But there's like an actual like highway. They had like millions of people in their empire. There's countless pyramids at this point. They just discovered more in China and stuff. Like, you can go on Google Earth and literally see the ones in China that they're refusing to talk about, which is fine. That's their prerogative. They at least acknowledge them. They're like, sure, yeah, that could be, but we're not going to touch it because they're just like, our belief system. We don't, we want to preserve. We want to keep it preserved, kind of thing.
Yeah, hidden archaeology, whatever, where they hide things like things that don't add up or don't match the history books. They hide that. I mean, we did a show on the what's that museum there that they like the giant bones. They would take the bones. People would find these giant bones. Then the museum would just take them.
Yeah, the Smithsonian's got some.
Yeah, the Smithsonian. Yeah, we did a whole episode on that, and they got so much shit, and only like 10% or 5% of it's being displayed. The rest of it's in the back. And I hear story after story about a guy, a team that finds like giant bones or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we're from the Smithsonian. We got the money and the technology. We're gonna do tests on it. We're gonna do all this for you, and then we'll get back to you. We'll take these bones off your hands, and we'll give them back to you later on after we run these tests." And then they, call them up later on, like, "What's going on with the thing? What are you talking about? We don't have to know a guy named John, whatever. We don't know who that is."
There's a few more steps in between there too. They're like, okay, well, government order, we got to take these bones, right? Because it's human remains. You're breaking the law. They'll say whatever they'll just keep moving the needle until they get the bones, right? And then they're like, we got to run these tests. Oh, we can't run these tests because technically these are Native American things, so we got to contact them, and they're like, oh, they won't let us. And then even when you get the Native Americans on the other side saying, yeah, we don't care, go ahead and run tests, we want you to do that, then that's when they come in with what you said, and they're like, oh, what bones? You know what I mean? What are you talking about? They were never here. And it's pretty crazy because those things actually have been found, like actual large bones, and there's a few elongated skulls that they've and I'm not talking about like the ones where you can prove that they banded their skulls from a young age. I'm talking about, it doesn't have the sagittal suture, which we have as humans down the center of our cranium. It literally is missing that, and you can tell that the skull, like, this is the natural shape of the skull, right? So like there's weird skulls, there's giant bones,
You talking about like the Star Child skull and stuff like that?
Sorry, everyone.
It might be called the Star Child skull. I'm not sure the exact term. I think there's a few of them though. I know a couple were found in South America among like all the Aztec and Mayan stuff.
I've seen them with the elongated and.
Yep. And some of them are frauds because they have the sagittal suture down the center of the skull, which is the dead giveaway. This is a human who has bound.
They reshape their heads using whatever methods and stuff like that.
Rarely they find elongated ones though that don't have that, and it's like, this is not a human skull. They test the tooth, it has like weird DNA. You know what I mean? Like it's not. There's some of them that very rarely are not human. It's fascinating stuff. And same thing with the giant bones. Those, they're gone. Where did those go? Or whatever.
Yeah, they're being covered up. I believe there was a giant race at one time, and they were probably hunted down, kind of like woolly mammoths or whatever, like until their extinction.
Got a tip too.
You see that AI video where they showed like giants making the fucking pyramids? I was just picking up blocks like they were Legos.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah.
You seen that?
Yeah, I didn't.
That's an interesting, theory.
Well, when you look at the Temple of Jupiter that the Romans claimed, bro, like I think it's the largest monolithic stone on Earth, and it's like half buried still. Like it looks like they were like starting to cut it out, or they cut it out and then they just left it or something like that. But like over the millennia that it's been there or whatever, nobody's moved it, and in fact they just like built stuff on top of it or nearby instead. And that kind of stuff is just wild to think about, even if there was giants, it would take so many to do that. And even then I think the giants would need to like build giant equipment to help them, because I don't even think like 100 giants could like actually move
I
that
don't. I
heavy
don't
of a
believe the
thing.
giant theory. You're familiar with Coral Castle?
Yes, yeah, that's a
Now that
fascinating thing. You know.
that little guy who was like 5'3" or something like that, Ed Pilskin, I think his name was.
Hmm.
He put together, that whole castle on his own with like a truck or something with minimal equipment,
Hmm.
and no
Hmm.
one knows how he did it. They're
Hmm.
saying that he kind of like maybe tuned into the frequency and kind of floated these blocks,
Yeah.
these big blocks of coral,
Hmm.
and he got this land for free. He met a guy who had a bunch of land in Florida, and it was worthless land because no one wanted it because it was all bedrock, and that's the land he was looking for because he wanted as much coral as he can get. So to everybody else, you couldn't farm on it or anything like that. So he would just take these, thousands, 5,000 pound blocks and just stack them up, and he made this castle. And then he was attacked once, and he didn't feel safe where the castle was, so he actually moved it. He took all the blocks and moved them.
That's crazy.
Yes, and to a new location.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I believe he did all of this at night. Nobody saw him doing it, I believe.
Once in a while, kids, I guess, would
Yeah.
see him, and he would like kind of do it in front of kids because if kids went home and told their parents or whatever, they wouldn't believe him. And
Yeah.
I guess he liked kids, so he would
Yeah.
he somehow knew if someone was watching when he was doing, and
That's
he
the
said
other
that
one.
he unlocked the secrets of the Egyptians, and that
He
he
did.
read it in a book. But he
That's the
wouldn't
way he put
say
it
what
too.
book. Yeah,
That's the way he said it too. He said the secrets
so
of the Egyptians. Yeah.
that makes more sense than giants putting those blocks together or whatever in Egypt.
Yeah,
But
in reality, it was something like that, right? When you look at the blocks up close in Egypt, and we're getting a little. This is interesting. This is my domain of conspiracy theory, just like discussion and philosophy kind of thing, like just discussing the ideas. Nobody actually has to like drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, but these things exist, and it's interesting to talk about. And as an author
yeah,
and a story creator yourself, it's fun. So if it's fun, then it feels good. It can be productive by getting
yeah,
some story. Like
yeah. I
imagine just a
included.
flat Earth map in a fantasy world. That's actually great story sauce for a fantasy world. Like that
Well, did
alone.
you hear about the flat Earth? You know the movie, the Simpsons movie,
Yeah.
and how the
Oh yeah.
Simpsons predict everything. So
The
they
firmament.
basically they're saying that they're showing you that there's a flat Earth when they're
Yeah.
showing that
The dome.
a dome,
Yeah.
around the fucking Springfield or whatever.
Hmm. And if you look at if that's a stand-in for the flat Earth and the firmament, then what's everything outside of Springfield? Then does that imply that there's a bunch of shit outside, right? I like to if it does turn out to be like flat and there's a firmament, I subscribe to the idea that there's Lovecraftian like old ones on the outside, because I think the Bible says the waters above. So if there's waters above, it's definitely Lovecraftian deep ones up there. What do you think?
I'm not a flat earther, honestly.
I know.
That means
I'm not either.
you know what I
I'm
mean.
not either.
Multiple countries would have to be in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Basically, every
200 actually. 200 countries.
you know what I
At
mean. Yes,
least 100. Yeah.
I'm not buying it until I get more evidence or whatever. It's not something I'm into. It's not a conspiracy that I'm in. I'm more into like the Mandela effect, time travel, Project Pegasus,
What's the crazy
stuff like that. I'm really intrigued. I want to know: was there a program where little kids were sent back in time
Mm-hmm.
to watch significant time periods, like events? Lincoln's assassination. Supposedly, he went to go view that, and that he went to the Gettysburg Address, and that he even claimed there's this guy named Andrew, who's a lawyer, right? He said he was part of Project Pegasus, that his dad worked for like black ops, like DARPA, and their technology was to like transport humans into the future and the past, or I don't know. I don't know if he even talks about the future. He mainly talks about the past. They
Yeah.
talked about the chronovisor and stuff like that. Are you familiar with that?
I think that's the Catholic Church, right? They
Yeah,
outlawed that
that
or something.
that Italian guy. He
Yeah.
worked on it, and supposedly he made a device where you can view the past on like a television
Yeah.
screen.
And he
And
claims he
you can,
witnessed the
yeah,
crucifixion of Christ or whatever.
yeah, and supposedly Tesla figured out
Sorry, doing her
teleportation.
reading. She wanted one like right away.
Yeah.
Tesla supposedly figured out teleportation, and then when
Mhm.
he died, the CIA whatever went in there, took all his shit, and then they gave it to top scientists and they worked on it, and they figured it out and they got it to work. And I guess this guy named Andy, he claims that he's actually a lawyer too. He's not just some like dummy. He claims that he was part of the project and that they would he calls it jumping. You
Yeah.
jump from one place. There's even people that say you can even jump to Mars. Just
Yeah,
jump
that's what
room you can go
that's
to.
what Katie.
Yeah, the remote viewing. It's crazy.
There's
or astral projecting.
what's it called? The gateway process is what the government calls
I've
it.
done that. I've done
The
that.
Gateway
You're talking
Project?
about like the Monroe
Project
Institute.
Gateway.
Both. I think. The gateway process is the actual process that
Oh,
they
the
patented.
CIA document you're talking about that got
Yeah.
declassified in the 80s.
Mhm.
Basically says we live in a holographic projected universe or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yeah, there's supposedly patents where you can go through walls and shit like that.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Crazy shit. Some crazy shit.
Speaking of crazy, what do you know about Helen Keller?
I just know that she was supposedly deaf and blind or something.
Supposedly, right? Like,
Supposedly, I mean that's what.
is it
they
possible
taught us
to?
in school.
I mean, they claim a lot of things. I don't mean to be insensitive or anything, but Bat Sauce turned me on to this conspiracy theory a while ago. He said that there's no possible way they could. How do they teach her? Because she's done some pretty crazy things by the end of it. Like I don't know, like wrote music or something. She did some pretty wild stuff by the end of the career.
Well, maybe she did a couple of things and then they like made her look good or whatever. Added to it, added some
Right.
bullshit.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
I never heard of that conspiracy theory. That's not like one I know about. I'm into the real crazy shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, but he says you can like jump to different planets, and then flat earthers say there are no other planets. There's so much disinformation, you don't know which way to go. Did we land on the moon in 1969? Was it all bullshit? I thought actually we did land on the moon, and then after watching a few different shows and like experts who were gonna write about it and ask NASA simple questions, and NASA wouldn't give an answer to
Simple.
like simple questions like
Simple.
there's radiation in space.
Yep.
Your spacesuit supposedly doesn't have any radiation protection. So
And
how'd that work?
You look at those old ships; they're just tinfoil, brother. Like you look at them, like sure, it's like high quality material or whatever, but it's still just like, really, like that's like tinfoil. It's gonna protect them from a highly crazy radiation zone, and they're all thumbs when you bring it up. Like you said, very simple questions. And Bad Sauce says she graduated college at the same time as every other student. Come on. And then he said, it's to push the communist agenda, which, I mean, I could see it a little bit.
I don't know.
But I know what you're saying here. The first and foremost question, I think, like you said, like you just start with the radiation, and they start fumbling right off the bat.
Yeah, I was watching an episode of Coast to Coast or listening, and he started going on and on.
I love Coast to Coast.
Right, you know what I mean? And everything, if you think about it, it was so perfect. One small step for man, that whole thing, the speech. And they ran the numbers. Supposedly, there's only like a 12% chance of it being a successful mission, but it was perfect mission. And then they also, everything was like perfect, like a Hollywood movie. All the, all the dialogue, and it just didn't add up. You know what I mean? And
well, there's two different light sources in a lot of the pictures. A lot of the backgrounds kind of don't line up. They reuse some backgrounds. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of arguments to be made. Like,
The
in that
visor.
regard. Oh, tons of stuff.
There's
Yeah.
supposedly like a guy wearing a leather jacket. You could see in the reflection of the astronaut's visor.
The print marks from the photography. In one image, the astronaut is in front of the print marks of the photography, which implies that he was added in after the fact. Because how could he be over that with that? It's like old technology, right? So like in order to do that, you literally have to manually put them in, and it's obvious that you did that because there's original print marks that you can't pull out of the original photo that you're covering up. You know what I mean? There's stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, just the radiation aside, there's a whole laundry list that is formed over the years that NASA and others still can't account for. Okay.
Then there was like that colonel or whatever from Roswell. He said, I think he was a colonel. You know, he's a high-ranked officer. He claims that humans can't even go into space at all. That we just can't go into space, or we can't handle it. The human body wasn't meant to go into space.
Right. And when you look at their body language at the press conference when they first got back, they all, I don't want to say they look nervous, but I'll just say this, they 100% do not look like a bunch of dudes that just freaking made history and went to space and like touched the very face of God, you know, like they don't seem like those guys. They seem kind of just like they just want to go to sleep. And I know you could say they're tired, but I mean, at the same time, this is, I think, a week or something, like after they've recovered, I'm pretty sure they finally do a press conference, and yeah, they're just like all not having it. What do you think of that?
I don't think that the moon landing ever happened in 1969.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe since there's so much misinformation. You know what I mean? With there's planets, there's not planets. The Earth's flat, the Earth's round. The fucking.
I will.
There's bases on the dark side of the moon. Why haven't we been back to the moon? You know, if it's so easy and we did it in 1969, why don't we go there all the time?
That's like question number 2, brother. Okay,
yeah, why don't we have a civilization there by now? We should have one by now.
Okay, do you want to actually know the official response? They put out answers to this. So the official response is they don't have the technology to do that anymore.
Oh, that's right. They got rid of it. They threw it out or something, right?
Oh, not to mention the original tapes of the moon landing. NASA misplaced it.
Yeah. No, we can't find those. Why would we keep a good eye on that?
Dude, it keeps going. So like, yeah, the moon, anybody who wants to dive into the moon, we've listed kind of like the most egregious sins. You could start with any of this, like just the radiation that brings you down the rabbit hole. Like, let's touch on some conspiracies from this past year. Like recently, there's drones going on, which a lot of people think tie into the fog. There's that creepy fog that's going on. The Pope just opened a portal to Lucifer's tomb, apparently, which I have a little bit of debunking on that. I think, you know, a lot of people, I think they're equating the tomb that it actually is. They're being hyperbolic with it. There's some weird stuff going on with that, though. I think a lot of Catholics have a better understanding, and the world is just kind of freaking out.
Computer that they just made, and it supposedly can go into, it can like open up different dimensions or something like that.
Google's computer? Yeah. Dude, that thing, what do you think of that thing? For those who don't know, like, yeah, he's right. Like, Google literally just put out that they invented a supercomputer that's about this big. It's smaller than your phone. And it basically they alluded to the fact of it tapping into other universes and that's nuts. Something that would take like 1 million years for our best computer right now to solve. It literally did it in like a couple hours. And that's some next level shit, dude. I'll just say, like, that's some crazy shit. Not gonna lie, that's crazy shit.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe the headline when I saw that. And then that mystery fog and whatever that is, they showed it online. I saw some pictures of it. It's kind of strange. I guess all the droplets or whatever they are the same size, which is odd.
That's weird. Why is the fog everywhere, Justin? That's weird.
I haven't seen any of it. I mean, where is it?
Oh, really? I didn't. Me and my wife were driving through the cities in Minnesota, and we couldn't see anything. Like it was blanketing the whole state in Minnesota. And I know we're in the north and we're prone to fog because we're so flat, and that's what we chalked it up to. But then all of a sudden, we plugged into TikTok that night and saw everybody was talking about this shit. Like it's the next drone or orb or Sasquatch sighting or whatever. And I guess this fog is like everywhere and in places that it isn't conventionally, you know, people get fog, but not like this. And I personally love fog, so I take note of it every time I see it. It just always makes the world look like a fantasy world or a horror movie or something. It just adds this level of beauty to everything, I think,
Well,
personally.
it says here online that not only in the U.S., it's also in Canada and the U.K.
Weird, dude. Right. Weird.
Yeah, I
So,
don't know, man. It just
I,
and then all these terrorist attacks, like one after another. Like the nightclub, there was a shooting last night. While we were sleeping, like 10 or 12 people got shot in I think Queens or something at some nightclub. Then
yeah,
there was people running people down. And then I don't know. It's just crazy times right now.
I heard about them fucking attacks. That's for sure. Hold on, I gotta grab my lighter. But what I heard from the conspiracy corner of the internet is the fog. Like, there's some people who like they go out and it like burns their eyes. It's burning their throat. Like I said, it's in
Chemicals.
unconventional places. Like, yeah, people come home and they didn't realize it before, but all of a sudden they're congested and like
I
they
wouldn't
don't.
want to breathe that shit in. I mean, if it looks like
Right.
it could be chemical warfare. Oh, you're back?
Say
Yeah, I
that
haven't
again.
really,
Sorry.
yeah, I
What'd you
haven't
say?
really, kept up on the fog. I just heard about it here and there, and then now it's like starting to pick up. And then I saw a video on Twitter.
Yeah.
And some guy like showed his dog's bowl that he has like a water bowl for the dog outside, and it had all these little bugs or something in the water.
Right. Right. There's
You
weird
saw that?
shit. Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that
that's
shit.
weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about it. It's all just a distraction or something. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, because I mentioned the drones, right? Those initially, at first, it's like, oh, don't worry about the drones that are being launched from motherships, and then it's like, oh, the drones are from this country, and then our own government contradicting itself is like, oh, actually, they're not. We don't know what they are. Just ignore them. And it's
Well,
like, what? And then all of a sudden, I saw people freak out more and more about this as time went on over the weeks. And literally, it became less and less drone sightings and more orb sightings. And there was even a period of time where there was drones mixed with orbs, like the drones are checking these things out. And now it's just full on alien drone orb hybrid things. Like some of them look like jellyfish and stuff, and I don't even know what to think of it. What are your thoughts on it
yeah, I
lately?
don't know. They could be holograms.
That's what a lot of people thought right away. They were like Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, there's a theory in 9/11 where the buildings were taken down with controlled demolition, but no planes actually hit the buildings. What actually you saw was a projection, a hologram, and that's why there was supposedly no parts, no plane parts or seats. If you got 500 seats on a plane, you'd think
Right.
there'd be some debris on the ground. You'd see some plane parts. You're gonna see the wheels. You're gonna see the fucking wing. You're gonna see seats everywhere and shit like that, and the tail, and it's a big aircraft. But in the 9/11 footage, I didn't see any planes on the ground. Did you see any footage of any kind of plane parts
Nope.
at all?
Nope.
So, and they also they had pilots do simulations and try to take a plane and try to hit the building in the simulator, and they weren't able to do it. Like top pilots, but supposedly these guys that were barely trained, that never flew, that much, they haven't flown that much, just learn, kind of like new, don't have a lot of experience, were able to do these flights and perfectly synchronized attack one after another, one plane after another, one hitting another one, two different pilots. It's just so when I heard the theory about the hologram was a holographic plane, and then they demolitioned it after the hologram hit the whatever the building, and then they demolitioned it, and they put like a real demolition of another building next to the 9/11, and then you can see they go down the same way. And
That's one of the most compelling ones I saw as far as the 9/11 stuff go. And I mean, my official position on it is like, if for some reason you irrefutably prove that it's true and everything they said is true, with maybe like they had some missing details in the book that they put out, then I could see a situation where I'm believing that. But for the most part, my default position is like, dude, at best, that situation is weird, right? At
well,
best, yeah.
the owner
So,
bought a special insurance, I think like weeks before it happened, like a month or two before it happened. Just happened to buy it, and he's in his office every single day. And then that one day, on 9/11, he didn't show up to the office that day, and then he ended up getting a payout, a big ass payout, and they made a fortune off those buildings going down actually because he got that extra insurance. He made so much money that the insurance company, I believe, sued him, like didn't want to pay it out. Said
yeah,
they had to fight about it in court,
imagine that.
and in the end, he actually got even more money, I think, in the end because of
Yeah,
the whole court thing. It went in his favor, so
well,
he
because they
made an
fought it.
absolute fortune.
Yeah. Now you got to pay court fees and extra shit
Yeah, and
because
all
you
that
fought it.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
and you got to pay him 3 times the amount because you bothered him.
Yeah. You didn't
You
just
fought
take
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know. I believe
yeah.
the hologram theory is more realistic. I don't
Project
know.
Bluebeam, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen holograms. When I was at Woodstock '99, I saw a hologram of Jimi Hendrix at the closing ceremony. They had him up there doing like the Star Spangled Banner or whatever on his guitar, and it looked really, really real. You know what I mean? They had digital clouds and all that stuff, and that was in 1999. I can only imagine the technology that they had. That if we're seeing that, the government supposedly has technology that's 50 years or more than you're seeing.
Let me
Uh,
put it this way: when scientists saw Star Trek have their long range communicators from the ship to the planet, they immediately started taking steps that inevitably led towards us using cell phones. What are these? You know, we're Star Trek right here. So if they did that with that, they probably have easily looked at other ideas like holograms, and they probably figured that out right around like on the same level.
well,
So like, look how crazy our phones now are. Now they're like
well,
even
that's another
crazier than
conspiracy
Star Trek.
theory is that the CIA inserts future technology into movies and stuff like that.
That's the other theory is like
Yeah, to get you
they
used
admit
to
it.
the idea, or whatever. They've been conditioning us to the idea of aliens for a long time now, slowly increasing it. I mean, what 2 or 3 years ago, the Pentagon said that a mothership was probably heading towards Earth. What the fuck is that all about? It's
Well,
just
and then they use the mothership terminology again with the drones. It goes full circle back to the drones and shit. And like for those who don't know, Project Bluebeam, another rabbit hole. Basically, the idea that you condition the entire planet to you either condition them to think that whoever their savior is coming back, or aliens are invading. Basically, it's like 100 years in the making or whatever, and they've probably compiled research on every country and stuff, and you just basically systematically New World Order type shit crunch down. You use holograms, you gaslight them in whatever way is going to make them just undeniably be like, okay, please help, which in most cases is going to be aliens. If they're staging a crazy alien thing going on, or using such advanced technology that they haven't told us about, that it looks alien and actually doing crazy shit, which is actually the scarier, because we can just reject the holograms, right? It's when they're in the actual real UFOs that they've invented, but there's like a CIA agent inside of it or whatever doing crazy shit. That's when it gets scary. And yeah, like of course every nation would reach like some sort of breaking point if there's utter terror happening. But yeah, like that's the idea, is like mostly holograms. They gaslight you with your faith and with aliens, and they're like New World Order, and then there's one government and they control everybody. And you eat the bugs and you own nothing and be happy, is the end result.
We're supposedly already eating the bugs, whatever. They put it in as like powder and they call it something else.
Yep. Supposedly eating the bugs already.
Or some places are anyway. And they got that 3D meat shit coming out.
Yeah.
Where they print it. Printed meat. That sounds disgusting, man.
It sounds disgusting, yes. And I heard it actually isn't too dissimilar from meat, like on a molecular level, but still, like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
They'll probably be using that shit at like Taco Bell pretty soon.
Probably have been for a while, which is why it's probably like cat food, right? But Taco Bell is like cat food. But yeah, those drones, man, they could have just devolved into holograms, but I'm telling you, now they look crazy. What?
Are they still talking about the drones?
Dude, yeah, the list I made is like, I wouldn't even say it's the top conspiracies of the year. It's like the big ones recently, actually, because this whole year has been filled with them. I can't even keep track after a certain point. I mean, there's obviously the big, deletion attempt of the president. That's a big conspiracy in and of itself too, as most of those types of things tend to be, when you look at them a little bit closer. But yeah, like the aliens, what about those? Have you heard anything recently about aliens in general? It kind of ties in with the drones and the orbs a little bit.
No, I heard there's supposed to be a fake alien invasion that the government's going to try to pull, and they're going to pull out the holograms and make it look like. Remember all those cities that people were seeing in the sky?
Yeah.
People were filming them and stuff. That was probably them messing with those holograms and stuff like that.
And that's right out of Vedic Indian mythology. The city and the floating cities in the sky. That's like Vedic mythology. It's interesting stuff. But yeah, like the government has said that they're probably more likely spiritual beings, right? They straight up said that, which is why they can say that they're non-human, but they can't necessarily say that they're, non-earthly, because it actually, just to summarize it actually, the most likely things based on like what the government has admitted and what like we're observing and what's the most associated with the sightings of these things, like a lot of them rise out of the ocean, for example. It looks like they're from here. It looks like they hang out in the ocean a lot. It looks like they kind of look like an orb or some form of like shape of light. A lot of these appearances of them do kind of look biblical. Like I remember one was hyper zoomed in and it totally looked like Ezekiel's wheel from the Bible, where it's like a wheel within a wheel, and the points of light looked all crazy, and those points of light could be construed as like eyes, like he was describing in the Bible, and just crazy. So it's like, okay, and the government did say it's like more spiritual, so there you go, there's another dot connecting there. And this year there's been a slow connection of all kinds of dots. It looks like from the sea, from here, they're spiritual, which means they might not even be alien. We might not even be able to communicate with them. We discovered self-organizing plasmoids in the atmosphere. That actually happened this year. We discovered that. And so that they very well could just be some organism that exists in the atmosphere, for all we know. Nobody's like directly saying what they are, but they could just be aliens too. So I don't know.
Question.
Yeah.
What do you guys think would happen if we dropped the Ark of the Covenant into the ocean, like straight into the Mariana Trench?
Do you think it would blow up?
I don't know. I'm asking you guys.
Supposedly you can't even get next to the Ark of the Covenant. It will kill you if you look at it.
Well, they had
Yeah,
to
like
remove it somehow. Like I know people were like, what they needed, like they needed cataract surgery or something when they were.
Yep.
So I don't know, but it had to have been moved in the first place somehow, right?
Yeah, they have diagrams of it and descriptions of it in the Bible. They couldn't touch it directly, so there was like several people that had to carry it with wooden poles. So it was like the weight of it was held on wooden poles, so they weren't directly touching it. And
Fascinating.
yeah, it
You
took a
can't
bunch
look
of
at it either.
right.
But like Black Knight satellite thing too, and like the weird shit like in space that we know about.
You know about the Black Knight satellite, Belmont?
Oh, that one that's supposedly in our in our solar system, like I know what you're talking about. I've seen pictures of it or whatever, and it's supposedly like an alien ship or something.
Yeah, it's like in our atmosphere. It's
I
like
haven't
in our
heard anything about it lately.
Yeah, and it's some sort of object that's in orbit.
You're echoing.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh, is it better now?
I think so.
Okay, but yeah, it's like some sort of object that's in the atmosphere, and it's been here for thousands of years, and it changes like altitude sometimes and trajectory and stuff, which is like impossible for even our satellites to do without severe intervention, right? So yeah, that's the Black Knight satellite, and it's weird. They never know what it is, and I don't think anybody's been able to check it out. And if they have checked it out, they're not telling us, you know.
What
But
is that?
it's
I've
something
just
that
seen a picture of it. I haven't really followed it that closely.
I'll look it up.
There's another thing that it was on Y-Files, and it was some speak that. What is it? There's another one, I swear. Like that chick was so wild. I mean, it could also be like another country, but like, how long has that really been up there? Dude? Humanity has been so civilized before us; it's crazy.
Right. Man, I can't believe what this thing actually kind of looks like in some of these images. I don't know if these are fake images or what, but holy crap. If this is kind of the general shape that this thing has, I remember it had like a weird alien shape to it. But yeah, if this is kind of what it looks like, man, I don't even know what this thing could be. Let me pull up a good image here. The most common one is kind of like an S shape. Yeah, I'll use this one. Yeah. Yeah, we'll wrap it up here pretty quickly after the Black Knight. Let's see here. Here's that. Check this out.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Yeah, like
I don't know. That could be fucking AI though.
It's just a poop.
I know.
Sky.
Among all the images, this is the most common shape that it had. So this is like kind of what all of them look like.
At the very last piece of a dog's poop.
I mean, it could be, for all we know, you know, astronaut shit.
That's a big ass little poop.
I was more interested in Planet X.
Oh, that shit's scary, dude. Nibiru.
Yeah, that there's another planet that it's like an elongated rotation or whatever orbit, and we only see it every like 1,000 years or whatever it is, 2,000 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's possible.
I like it. That's a very plausible theory, in my opinion. Terrifying though, because if that thing is like planet-sized or whatever and enters our orbit or whatever, that would explain like the cycle of cataclysms that kind of happen on Earth over all the ages and whatever, and why we keep restarting. Because this thing is just on a timer then, and it comes back around, and then we restart. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I believe that maybe we do restart. You know, after civilization gets to a certain point, and then we like wipe each other out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it gets lost, and then we rebuild again, and then all the history gets erased.
Yep. And then it slowly blossoms again and goes down the same path or a slightly different path until it withers in old age and restarts again. And it's just a crazy thing that happens. It's everything. Oh, nice image, babe.
I would
That's
use
great.
Belmont's eye popping character, but I didn't have it. My camera roll. Oh, I should have just gone back in the stream and then screenshotted it. If I was smart, I would do that. But
It's on my campaign page.
Yeah.
I'll do it next time.
So yeah, I don't know if it's drone spraying mist all over us for the orb or overlords that psyoped our MK Ultra, but shit's been crazy this year at Belmont. You got lots of fuel for your show over there.
I'm waiting for January 20th.
Yeah.
Well, have we talked about the fog too, and how it's like all over the country, and then it's on the news? Like, why are they even like, oh, why is this fog here? See what this meteorologist says, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, if it was normal fog, we wouldn't even be acknowledging it, you know?
Right. It would just be like, it's foggy out. But then, yeah, that was the weird thing. Because I kind of looked over to Katie and I was like, oh, this fog's cool. Everything looks pretty sweet and like it's like poetic and blah, 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 blah. And then we saw the news like explaining the fog. And then we're like, okay, now it's weird because the news is explaining it. And then everybody on like TikTok and YouTube and stuff started having all their conspiracies because everybody started realizing it's everywhere. So... yeah, the
I haven't
fog's weird.
seen it with my own eyes. I've just seen it online. I think it's kind of strange now. I haven't really been following it until recently, just like the last couple days.
Yeah.
And then there's been so much stuff going on with the Tesla Cybertruck blowing up, and then the shooting last night at the nightclub in New York City.
Getting run over,
And then people getting ran over right before the Sugar Bowl or whatever, New Orleans. And I don't know, it's just crazy. They wheeled out the police chief, who was like a 90-year-old woman who should have retired like 20 years ago.
Yikes.
See that? And it turns out that she was fired by another city, and then she sued for getting fired. And then she got rehired in New Orleans, I guess, and became the police chief. So I know it's just a lot of crazy shit going on. I can't keep up with it.
Dude.
It's just so much to keep you distracted, you know what I mean? Are there like terror cells in America, and now they are coming out and they're going to do a terrorist attack every single day until the inauguration or whatever? I don't know. We might fall asleep tonight and wake up to some crazy shit while we're sleeping. God knows what's going to go on tonight. Hopefully we can make it to January 20th in one piece. There's no nuclear wars started, or keep poking the Russian bear.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's just a weird time in history right now. Just a lot of weird shit going on.
What Russian bear? I'm confused.
No, it said poke the Russian bear.
Yeah.
Like you poke the bear.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. It's with all
Just keep giving billions of dollars to them, to Ukraine.
It's so angering that so many people are so broke. People can't afford medications, housing. Like, people have never been more broke, and then we're just like sending billions and fucking billions to people, and just we're fucking up so bad as a country right now. And that's why, like, I don't care what anyone says. If you voted for Kamala Harris, you're a fucking idiot, and you believe dumb shit. I can't handle it. And
Hold on, I have a clip for that.
I really hate politics, and I'm more independent usually, but this is just very clearly, yeah, the Democrats need some reform. There's a reason everyone jumped ship, you know.
Based.
Yeah, people are abandoning the Democratic Party, and and then they get attacked after they leave it. You know what I mean? You could be a part of it for your whole life, and then once you leave it, you're their enemy. It's kind of like Scientology or something like that, where
Yeah,
oh,
you gotta literally escape, and then they like
yeah, you gotta
blacklist
like
you and
escape
shit.
like those.
Yeah, they blacklist you like never again. You know what though? I just really I hope things get better, but it's been rough, man.
And the price of food. And then I heard people say, "What are you talking about? The economy's fine." Have you been to the fucking grocery store?
Right.
Yeah.
We can
Fine
clearly
for
see it's
you,
not.
like if it's fine for you, like, and you're not struggling, congratulations. Then you must not be having your insurance company deny all your medications, and you have to spend every fucking dime you make on medications, like, or food, or housing, like.
Right.
I mean, like these apartment buildings, it's crazy because they'll get those fucking floors. It's like I've seen memes about it. They get those like dark gray, like PVC floors, and then charge like $3,000 for rent just because of that shit. You know?
They'll do that. They'll do that with cars
Oh,
too.
it's wild. It's wild. But well, anyway,
So,
that's cool.
Winding down here as we approach the 2-hour mark. Thanks for hanging out, Belmont.
Yeah.
Do you have any last chills or thoughts? Again, everybody listening, his project is pinned in the chat and in the description. So
I'm worried about the bird flu. It's really what is concerning me, because they're going to try to roll out another pandemic
Right.
before the inauguration. I'm kind of watching that. Then there's all these like things that are keeping us occupied, like the fog and the drones, and like blowing up a cyber truck in front of the Trump Towers. Just a lot of stuff going on that the news changes cycles. You can't keep up with it. It's just tomorrow something else will happen, and then there's just too much going on, and the average American doesn't have the time to like deal with any of this stuff. They're getting up, doing their 9 to 5 or whatever. And,
that's why it's so
psyops.
important to have these stories though, and the comics and things you guys are making though, because we need an escape more than ever. I mean, you can't be like ignorant and blind to everything, you have to be realistic, but still, like, we need to relax. We can't all just be fucking high strung.
Right. Gotta escape.
Yeah, I put a little bit of conspiracy theory into my comics. Smokes the Fox, he's a hybrid, and he was made in an underground facility. I kind of got the idea from Dulce Base, if you're familiar with that.
Okay.
And supposedly in Dulce Base, there's aliens working with humans, and they're doing experiments, genetics. And I kind of put that in my book, but I changed it a little bit. So there is alien grays that work in this base in my comic book, and they're making these animal hybrids. And Smokes is the smartest hybrid they make, and then Weaponized Werewolf is like the strongest, but he's not that bright. And so I kind of put this lore into my comics. So I'm really into this kind of shit. But
as you should be.
It.
As you should be,
Hell
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Just interesting. I'm into like the Mandela effect, glitches in the Matrix. I've even had glitches happen to me in the Matrix. Just really strange stuff. Like, are you familiar with TJ Maxx, that store?
Yes.
Well, I was going to TJ Maxx, going to pick up a present for my wife, and they had this guy comes out with a shopping cart. I'm in the parking lot. I didn't get in the store yet, and I saw this guy, and it was a black guy. He came out one of those little mini shopping carts. You know, they're the little small ones.
Yeah.
For some reason, he put the toilet brush was it was made out of ceramic, and he put it on the bottom of the cart, like on that shelf. And what happened is the toilet bowl brush fell off his cart. Like he hit like a bump on the sidewalk. Like the sidewalk is a little bit uneven when you leave the store.
Yeah.
A little path, and that little bump caused the ceramic brush to break. It was black, and then when it broke, you could see that it was white inside. So that's how I knew it definitely was ceramic. My wife collects that ceramic stuff at TJ Maxx. It's called Ray Dunn. It was kind of like a fad. Everybody used to buy this stuff, and I didn't think anything of it. I went inside the store, made my purchases, and then I didn't really find what I wanted. I got like a couple things, but it wasn't what I was mainly looking for. I couldn't find. I was looking for a good gift. But 2 weeks later or so, I went back to that same store, parked in the parking lot, and I saw a black guy come out of the store with a shopping cart. He went the same direction as the other guy. I'm not sure if it's the same guy because I didn't study him, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happened so fast, I didn't think really much of it. Then I saw the same thing happen again. The guy came out of the TJ Maxx. He was a black dude. He had the small cart. He had the same ceramic toilet brush. It was on the bottom shelf of the cart. He went the same direction. He must have hit the same bump, and the fucking ceramic thing broke again. And you can see the white. It was a black ceramic, but inside is white. When it broke, you can see the inside. And I was like, holy fuck! I already saw this. This is like a replay.
Wow. That's
you know what I mean?
crazy.
So I guess a glitch. So that happened to me. I mean, it's a strange Colorado, man. Ever since I lived out here, just a lot of. I've been writing it down. I don't know if I'm gonna write a book, but I was thinking about it. If I really put this book out, though, people would think I was like beyond crazy. So I'm kind of weary about putting it out. Maybe I'll put it out when I'm dead or something. I'll release it, and publish it, kind of like Paul, or what is his name there, Admiral Byrd, where his
his diary.
Yeah, his diary was published after his death.
Oh, about Antarctica?
Yep.
Yeah. Then his son was killed. He was found in a warehouse naked with one boot or one shoe on.
What?
And they called it, like a natural death. People just get found killed in a random warehouse. Yeah, he was on a train going somewhere and somehow ended up in a warehouse dead, naked. And they didn't think that was a suspicious death. And that was right after he published his dad's journal, which had a lot of crazy shit in it. Talked about meeting aliens in the Middle Earth or whatever and stuff like that. And
they covered that on Y-Files, but they didn't mention that. I mean, I know sometimes he has to put stuff on the podcast, but I haven't listened to a lot of it. But I've never heard about that part. Holy shit!
Yeah, his son published the work, and then he was found dead in a warehouse. Yeah, you can look it up.
That's just fucked, man.
That's crazy.
Shit.
Yeah, we did an episode on that, on Cannabis and Conspiracies, and we had Paul Byrd. He's a comic book creator, but he's also related to Admiral Byrd. He's like a distant relative.
Sick.
But still, we had him on. We had fun. We were talking about. It's just one of the craziest stories. You know what I mean?
How old was his son when that happened? Do you know?
I'm not sure. He was older, I believe. He wasn't like a young kid.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, you can look it up.
No.
I'm not sure how old he was, but yeah, he was found naked in a warehouse dead.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow, that's how you know there's something to it. When there's weird loose ends like that.
Yeah, and then they had to make it degrading and strip them too. Come on.
Right.
Oh, no one's gonna believe this fucking crazy person.
You can still buy that diary.
I want to read it really bad.
Oh, I'm sure. So we can go ahead and wrap it up at the 2-hour mark. Thanks everybody for listening here. I would be absolutely honored if you would check out my book series, The Archaic Chronicles. It is set in the world of my full-length novel here, and each of these chronicles comes with multiple stories. The first one is available now. I will be working on more shortly. On top of that, like I said, it's set in the world of my full length, which I am in the middle of editing. If I can, there it is. I'm in the middle of editing it, and I went ahead and made the book cover. You can see here. You guys can expect this early in the year. It'll be my chonker, the only epic length novel I'll do for a while because I really like short stories. I'll be pumping out those Archaic Chronicles set in this world. because they Belmont, they adapt really well to graphic novels, each of the short stories. And
Yeah.
if you write the short stories well enough, you can have like a complete story with some badass characters and establish some cool things, create some cool heroes that you can compare to other people's stuff. So I'm going to be doing that going forward until I get heavy enough inspiration to put myself through writing an entire novel again. And on top of that, also set in the same world is my graphic novel, basically proof of concept to come to life here. Saga of Sunsets, partnered with Luke Stone. This is going to be open-ended campaign going until it's funded, and I plan on putting everything into this. I'm talking high quality, paper and everything. I know gracious people like Justin Belmont and Hojo, and Luke Stone himself, and many other like veterans of the industry that have helped me along the way. And this started as an arcade chronicle, went into Anvil magazine, which you'll see here. Where is it? The article in Anvil, right here. It was featured in Anvil, brought to life by the community, and I would really love to see it basically become its own thing all the way from the community. Luke Stone is working on this cover right now, so I'll be really excited to reveal that. Once I get the color, I'll reveal it and rehaul this whole landing page for everybody to check out. There's a couple of videos there for everybody to check out. And just the final thing is my music. If you guys could, if you're into metal or just music in general, you can go check out Empty My Lungs. I've been putting everything on the YouTube channel as a central hub. Recently released a YouTube exclusive called the Necromancer EP. I've been doing one track at a time. Once I'm done releasing those, you can expect a single consistently, basically once every 6 weeks or so. I'll be putting out singles, and I plan on featuring indie musicians here on this page. You can see here I've been getting into shorts, so go dive into some metal. I've been told in the past that it's good for workout, music and video games and that kind of stuff.
Driving.
But yeah, driving. As a writer, I've really loved putting like the words, right? Some of them can be pretty caveman, like F this, I feel this way kind of stuff. But like some of them can be really profound. So really proud of my music. Go check it out. And creators out there, the Necromancer EP, like I said, is YouTube exclusive, which means I am completely open to you using it for your content, for your podcast, for whatever it is, because I don't have that. I don't have the hellhounds after it, so to speak, if that makes sense. The copyright hellhounds aren't at the biting heels of Necromancer, so have fun using it for content. And you guys have any last words before we take off? I'll send us off with my new ad.
I do.
Have at it.
Have at it?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to take this time to remind everyone that they should go to the doctor-patient forum and read into the quote-unquote opioid epidemic. And right now there's a really, really, really serious problem where people having brain surgery, people dying of cancer and in hospice, and like little kids with major surgeries are being denied opioids and being treated with Tylenol. NSAIDs actually damage your liver and kidney, and opioids, like full agonist opioids such as oxycodone, are not shown to damage organs. There's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of lies, and I just want to tell everyone it's really, really important to advocate for pain, for yourself, for your loved ones, for your children, and for your animals, because even veterinaries are doing it to animals. Your animal, if they're given gabapentin, they are still in pain. They're just doped up. They're just sedated with that. And that gabapentin is linked to dementia. I, for one, get ocular migraines with aphasia, so I can't even make out words. It's like having a stroke. So
I had to give that to my cat.
Yeah, we have a really, really serious problem in this country right now.
So
And
yeah,
it's
it's not actually killing your cat's pain. What you're saying, it's more like making it sleepy. But sorry, I digress.
It sedates you.
Well, he was dying, and it was his last like weeks. So they gave me some of that to give to him like 3 times a day or something, in a droplet, like a dropper.
So it is. It's actually a seizure medication, and when they give it to anyone for nerve pain, it's written off-label for pain, and off-label means they're giving it to you for something other than what it is made for. And as a leading country, to be going through such a crisis, it's actually ridiculous, and other countries will follow. But there are over 120,000 dead Americans by suicide because of being tapered or cut off their medications. And so the pain clinics here are also treating addiction, which it doesn't make sense why a pain clinic would treat addiction. So now by default, they treat their pain patients like addicts as well and push buprenorphine. I was pressured into taking that. It destroyed my teeth. And then your doctor automatically gets flagged and investigated if they put you back on your oxycodone. I was lucky enough to get back on some, but I get bare minimum, like not even enough to function. And the thing is, in Minnesota, we have intractable law. We have a law for intractable pain patients that is supposed to protect me, my providers, and the pharmacists. And these clinics and doctors are still not abiding by the state law because they'll cite their clinic policies or federal laws. And, you know, the DEA has actually imprisoned doctors for treating pain. They do DEA raids. It's quite literally fucking disgusting. So yeah. I just wanted to take this time to let everyone know, like, that's part of the reason we haven't streamed a lot, because I'm struggling a lot with my pain and getting it under control and being, you know, to get the medication that works, you are forced to take several other medications, and my insurance won't cover them anymore. So, like, it's all about hemorrhaging money to take a bunch of medications just to be compliant enough to get enough for 2-3 days out of the month to be pain-free. So it's a huge problem. And also, if you go to the doctor-patient forum, you will find, I can't remember what it is now, but I'll make a short or another video with a link to it, and I'll also put it on X. But if you could please go and click vote and just put your name down and please vote. We really, really, really need reform. It's that whatever site RFK has up for policy reforms and stuff. It's one on there for pain patients. I would really, really appreciate it if everyone did that. And again, advocate for the people you love. Believe them when they need pain medication. Nobody's like, yeah, it's just bad. It's bad. So that's all I wanted to say. So
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
and I've missed everyone, and it's good to be back. And thanks for coming on, Justin. It's always nice to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I agree, this was fun. It's good to be back. Good to have Justin back. It's a good start to the new year. I think with that, we'll send them off. What do you think, guys? Good?
Yeah.
All right. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Fingers push their way into the oculus of the temple's dome, causing the entire structure to shiver as they clamp down. Cracks spread out along the surface like buckling ice. Plumes of white dust bursting into the air as the white temple began to bend under the pressure.
How's it going, everybody? This is AC Pritchard, thanking you personally for making it this far into the video. I just wanted to say that I look forward to giving you the best product that I can possibly give, for being so generous in your possible support. So, thank you for your consideration, and Have a nice day. Let's see where the road takes us. Cheers.